Redditors who have been or are currently homeless. Is there some sort of code among homeless people? Serious. I was homeless until 2 days ago. If shit really sucked outside, pouring rain, hail, I'd sleep in my storage unit where I kept my clothes. Otherwise, you need to make nice with the locals and old timers. They know how to panhandle, and often will share liquor, snacks, or just make better company. If they aren't batshit crazy, they will want to help you in my experience. I didn't sleep in the same area as anyone else. It'd crash in abandoned buildings, or whatever. By the time a construction crew arrived, if there was one, they'd have woken me up, and it'd sneak out. I find the younger kids do this a lot. Sleeping on a bench is shitty, and a roof is its own kind of security blanket. When you don't have a blanket, or security, you want to know common rules? Homeless people run in gangs, where they will usually pull their panhandled resources and sleep in one area together. You never ask about this, it's invite only, and you usually need a reputation by hanging out with them during the day, but not asking for money on their block. You can also buy your way in with like $5 in liquor, but that doesn't mean anything without rep among the whole group. You could still have your shit stolen overnight, so it's easier to just avoid it and pave your own way. Another big one is to not ask personal questions. They probably don't want to talk about anything that isn't current, so swapping news and anecdotes is pretty much the safest bet. Some open up more than others, but when every day all day for the last few years has been woke up, begged for money, went to bed, possibly drank a little, they just don't want to talk about it. The last big one I can quote is that you always empty your cup if you're begging. Leave a few dimes to shake around, but never leave those dollar bills in there. If passersby see that, they're less likely to help. If other bums see it, they want to make nice and get a cut. Unfortunately, as it's a very communal existence, they don't care who they're asking for money from. Even if they sleep on the bench next to you, they simply want a cut for relating to you. It's bizarre, and not 100%, but enough for me to catch on. So, you want a day in the life, eh? I worked full time throughout it. Losing my GF meant bills doubled, and I couldn't hack it, but I still paid shit off, and needed to seem normal at work. I never really had to beg, and my homeless friends would offer me things like bus fare or drinks, but it was never a necessity to take it. I'd make sure my gallon jug was full of clean water every night. This is easy, you just need to walk into a bathroom anywhere. I'd walk around my town and scout which building to crash in, never same place twice in a row, and usually waiting until like 2 to 3 AM. To make sure I wouldn't be disturbed by other squatters, eat something small, and get up the next morning. Showering with cold water out of the jug, use my blanket/towel to dry off, and leave. Then I'd go downtown, read a book near the campuses and just blend in. It was all about killing time for free until work. On rainy or cold days, I'd have to spend money on a coffee and hop around from shop to shop. Bus stops usually have little covered benches, so I could pretend I was waiting for a bus and use some store's Wi-Fi for a couple hours at a time without attracting attention. Sometimes I could get a nap in, as I'd only sleep around 4 hours a night, and I was constantly on the move and tired. I was around down in Texas for a bit, particularly Austin. In my experience, the big thing is to know who you're dealing with when it comes to other homeless people. Know the home bums from the street kids, from the train hoppers, from the crackheads. Cause interactions are different with different groups, and obviously with different people within those groups. Stay away from anyone who freaks you out, and be chill with anyone you meet. You never know where the next meal comes from, and it might well be a fellow homeless person. In general, the code that I followed came down to respect everyone you meet, except those looking to profit from suffering, and share anything that you can. Homeless people remember those that are generous and kind. If you get kicked down a meal, and make sure the other folks eat, you'll eat again later. Street kids are cool as fuck, but don't expect anything from them, and avoid crackheads. Don't get up in home bums turf, and if you are, and they tell you to get lost, apologize and get gone. Homelessness to me was freeing in a lot of ways. It comes down to always going with the flow, and doing what feels like the right thing. And as long as you don't fuck with others, they won't fuck with you. Mostly, they already have too many people willing to make their lives hard. Not homeless now, but was for a stretch. Most people who are homeless have mental problems and or alcohol/drug issues. So if you find yourself unfortunate enough to be down on your luck, you either A. dive into alcohol/drugs and self-pity, or B. try and climb back out. In which case you don't really associate with the druggies or alcoholics cause they aren't looking to join society again. To answer some of your questions, I personally had first put my things in a storage locker and paid the $40-50 a month cause I expected to find a place pretty soon. I also had a cell phone, smartphone, bill for about $60, so even though I didn't have a home I could apply for jobs, look for potential places to live, and seek homeless shelters that could provide assistance. No, I didn't feel safe at night, but you get used to it, kinda like sleeping in jail or prison. You don't feel completely safe, you just gotta deal with it. For food I learned to live off of Taco Bell's and McDonald's dollar menu, which meant for less than $5 a day I could have 3 meals. Not good meals, but something. Hope this helps, and hope you aren't currently facing this situation. I was homeless in Tacoma, WA, for a few months. The best advice I got was to mind my business. Whatever the homeless guy across the lot is doing is none of your business. Illegal things happen, and bringing in the police will end up fucking everyone involved over. There is a line though. If someone is seen as a threat to the community, they'll be dealt with. The group I was in was not close or even social, really, but we all had a common goal of keeping our place somewhat safe from other homeless people, outsiders, and the police. I felt reasonably safe. I was with a friend in his Jeep Cherokee, and we both had guns. Our stuff, what little we had with us, was kept in the Jeep, and one of us was within eyesight of it at all times. Food was easy. We'd hang around near fast food places until the last employees left for the night and hit the dumpsters. The thrown out food was almost always in its own separate bag, and it was only a few hours old. We got money by illegal means most of the time. We mugged a few people, rummaged through unlocked cars for change, and stole cars a few times. All of this only ended in violence one time. Most of the money we got went to gas and sometimes food. We needed the gas to get to the fast food places that were away from the general homeless population to avoid competition. We'd usually bring several bags back and give extras to the guys near us. I was homeless in Skid Row for about a month. It was unsafe to sleep on the streets, but I had no choice as there was nowhere else to sleep. What option did I have? But luckily I survived. In Skid Row, homeless people get free meals, so I didn't have to worry about getting money for food. And I didn't really have much personal belongings. As for a secret code, the only code is that you shouldn't ask other homeless people for money or food, as that's just plain wrong. Also, not all homeless people are the same. You can easily tell who is going to be homeless for the rest of their lives and who's not. Sleeping on the street was pretty difficult. I never really felt safe, so it was hard to get more than a couple hours of sleep at a time. Laying on a park bench, or on some cardboard on a slab of concrete, you're not getting much actual rest. It doesn't take long before that starts to impact your physical and mental health. One of the best spots I found was the back of an abandoned U-Haul truck. I had one backpack with my stuff in it that I carried everywhere. I carried some clothes, a couple trash bags, and a couple plastic bottles. I got into a shelter for a little while and everyone had 1 or 2 pieces of luggage with similar stuff. For food, I got 1 meal a day from the city shelter. I never felt right about panhandling, so I just stuck with my 1 free meal. I just kind of got used to being hungry most of the time. For me, the biggest rule is just not to fuck with anyone else's business. Don't touch their stuff, don't get in their space, and don't get involved with their drama. For the most part, everyone I met was honest and respectful toward each other. We all knew we were on the same level, facing most of the same problems. The exception being the one selling or otherwise abusing drugs or alcohol. Probably the biggest reality check for me was that the system didn't really seem to be set up to actually help people improve their situation. Outside of your 1 meal and your spot to sleep, it seemed like they just expected everyone there to stay homeless. There was both a day labor office and a career center within 2 blocks of the shelter, but not one person even hinted that you should check them out. It took me a while to figure it out, but once I did, I had regular income and a place of my own within a few months. I was homeless when I was a teenager in the 90s. I had a backpack and some clothes that looked presentable. A lot of the other homeless people had addictions and mental illnesses, and I quickly learned that I could not trust any of them or befriend any of them. It was okay to have a conversation, but anything beyond acquaintances was not acceptable. There was just too much competition. I used to eat at hotel breakfast buffets, and it was pretty easy to take food from them for later. The hotel employees never noticed or didn't get paid enough to say anything. The trick is to always look very presentable, like you belong there. This required doing laundry and showering, which I did either at hotels or gyms, or when I had quarters at a laundromat. Gyms were fairly easy to get into from the back. You could get into Walgreens freezers and storage areas pretty easily to take food by typing in the door code, which was the store number backwards. This was San Francisco, so there were a lot of Walgreens. When I went to sleep at night I had to hide my shoes or tie the laces together, or tie them to my body somehow. They were nice shoes and someone would steal them. Sometimes I would get up in the middle of the night and trip because I forgot to untie them. I would usually find a place to sleep with shelter, like under an awning, so I would not get too wet. If I ended up getting wet you could usually find a plastic cover in a dumpster. Shower at a gym. Kinda common sense stuff. Used to be homeless for a long time a while back. Don't give wrong directions to someplace. If you don't know it's best to say I don't know. Don't ever fuck somebody over and send them the wrong way. If someone is a child molester it's okay to tell everyone you know. For your little group of guys sharing a few dollars for booze and tobacco is expected. If you don't chip in for a week or two it's time to head out. Don't pet a railroad tramp's dog. I babysat a tramp's dog once, and every fucking one wanted to pet the damned thing. I was fending people off. Later on the dog tore a guy's bottom half off in a fight. A people fight. Cops said it was okay and let him keep the dog. Ask people where they are going, not where they've been. They know where they have been. If somebody makes you feel hinky, like they are an axe murderer, just assume that they are and act accordingly. Don't trust anybody traveling with almost nothing. They'll steal anything. Usually they tell a lot of tall tales about what they've done, and blah blah blah. If you fly a sign, misspell a word in the sign. And if it's your thing, mention Jesus. I'm an atheist, probably get no bonus for that. Don't ask for change, because you'll get change. Ask for $1 or a 5 spot. I was homeless in Virginia Beach. The biggest thing I had to remember was that you do not steal from another. I heard of a couple guys get killed because they stole from another vagrant, and it is damn hard for police to catch anybody. Little things. Do not sleep on the beach or any other commercial area. Like half a dozen guys died in the span of one summer after being crushed by garbage in cleaning trucks. Also, don't hang around the O scene front after dark. The transvestite prostitutes are scary, and they will beat your ass. Respect the police and people in general. If you just happen to be homeless, but are still a decent person, most people and cops won't fuck with you. Abide by the law, leave places you aren't welcome, don't be creepy, don't roam around parking lots, and try to ambush people for spare change, or whatever. I camped outside with a shopping cart, female. I also stayed in encampment with other homeless people. It was very unsafe. I was assaulted numerous times, had someone try to rob me, people step on me, steal my shoes out from under my head, and try to rape me. Most people use drugs or alcohol to be able to cope, or they used drugs and alcohol and then became homeless. It goes both ways. The city would come and take my stuff to the dump numerous times. I received tickets and ended up in jail a few times for too many blocking the sidewalk tickets. I was young and homeless, which is even more dangerous. People on the street are constantly taking advantage of you. So-called normal people offer to help you, then you realize they just want to use you or force you to have sex with them. I was homeless off and on for many years because of my drug problem. I quit drugs 17 years ago and own a home not too far from where I park my cart. I was homeless once, and I don't know of any codependency. Just cementing to point out that, while people generally think of homelessness as having these main problems, food, shelter, the reality of the situation is there are some other factors which are huge for homeless people: food, shelter, hygiene, storage, defense, sleep. Let me break down those a bit. Hygiene. No home means no access to bathing facilities. Smell is one of the things that socially separates you from non-homeless people and makes people want to recoil from you. A business offering $5 homeless showers would make a killing and allow some homeless people to start their climb back to normalcy. Storage. Pushing shopping carts isn't the act of a crazy person. It's the act of a person who does not have access to a space that locks. When you can't put your stuff down, you find a way to keep it with you, and shopping carts are the best way in our society. That shower business should offer macro storage too, like a small locker for whatever per month, week, or even day. Defense. I can say from personal experience that the police give zero fucks about violence against homeless people. It's not right, but it's true. When you are homeless, you no longer have police protection. There is a certain small segment of the population which knows this and actively seeks out homeless people to beat up for fun. So, you become a target for psychos, and B, the police won't help you. Therefore defense is now a big factor, and you should get a big stick or some pepper spray or whatever. Visible weapon is better because it dissuades predators looking for sadistic kicks. Look at the contents of the next homeless cart you see. I bet you'll see some kind of club. Sleeping outside actually isn't that bad, so long as the weather isn't horrible. Even in horrible weather you can usually work something out. Humans are clever beings. However, because you're not allowed to sleep anywhere, you rarely get more than 30 minutes of uninterrupted sleep before someone tells you to move along. Sleep debt builds up fast and deteriorates your ability to function or interact smoothly with others. One more I forgot earlier. Shitting. 24/7 access to a toilet is something we take for granted. When you have to shit and it's 2:30 am, you've got two choices: shit in an alley somewhere or hold it until Dunkin' Donuts opens in 3.5 hours.